Oh, Cinderella. Okay, I think we'll get started. So welcome everybody. I'm gonna be doing, I call this Google Classroom Plus. The official title is something else. So, but it is the same. This is a PD for people who have experience with Google Classroom and are looking for different applications of it. And so, wow, this is very different doing PD from my own home. Just got distracted by my cat. So, no less, I'm Jonathan. I am a third grade teacher at Lucha Elementary, but I have taught third through fifth before in the past. Sorry, Sherry, you just got out and back in. Here we go. There we go. So, here is my sort of gist of, or the way that I have structured this PD. I'm sort of just gonna expositionally dump information onto you and ideas that I've been sort of using and implementing during distance learning, and then in conjunction with Google Classroom. I'm gonna give 3 really big ideas and then like sort of micro details on each one. And then what I intend to do is sort of just stick around and then hang out with you for the remaining time and answer any questions that you may or may not have. My sessions tend to end early because I like to make a lot of room for questions and a lot of room for you to work during the sort of after session. This is a draft of my norms, but basically be kind. This is my first time doing a Zoom PD, so I'm gonna ask for some flexibility as I sort of figure out how to navigate through this. I love chatting with people, and I don't often remember to chat with people through the chat function, so I'll like interrupt myself when I see something interesting. I'm very distractible. I'm very sorry in advance. If anything gets cut off early, or not cut off early, but like if I become laggy, I'm sorry. I can plug myself into Ethernet to sort of make myself, my internet a little bit better. But I'm sorry if my internet gets weird on you. And be kind. Hopefully I will ask for some forgiveness. So my first tip for Google Classroom and the implementation thereof is to make everything simple. So I do like to have 1 assignment per week, and I do like to have hidden links. There are hidden links that make things easier to access, and then giving kids patterning when you're assigning things in Google Classroom has been very, very helpful for my learners as we've been navigating distance learning, or however you want to call it. So I have 1 assignment per week. I know what I need to do. Okay, so I tend to have 1 assignment per week, and this makes it really simple because kids can expect to have just remote learning week 8 assigned on Monday, and then everything is assigned inside of that document or whatever it is that I give them access to. There are also a lot of hidden links in Google Classroom. So, so if you want to link to another assignment, like those 3 dots give you access to that link, or you can even link to topics as well, which is a whole other thing. So, which I think I should be getting into. And if not, I will explain it later. Please let me know. I do have a cover page every week, and this first, I do everything in slides, which I'll talk about later. But having this cover page helps kids. It's almost like the first page of your homework packet if you distribute those. But I tend to have all of the assignments linked onto that first page, and it makes it really easy for kids to keep track of what it is that they have completed or haven't completed. And it's all accessible through that one assignment in Google Classroom. I had found, and my parents had found through feedback, that it was confusing to have this template, if only because having that template every week made it look like all the assignments were the same. And so I differentiated it by having that huge giant emoji on the top to show what week number it was, and then changing the image in the background every week, so that kids knew that like they were looking for the light bulbs this week, or they're looking for the spotlight or whatever. So that was helpful for my kids. And then also what I did is having this cover page with all the content areas on the side helped kids like establish a routine for themselves. Oh, some participants got just coming in. So that was, having this sort of template has been really helpful for kids. Oh, that's one other norm that I need to ask forgiveness for. My cat is currently on the counter wreaking havoc. I will be back in 1 minute. I ask for your forgiveness. Sweetie, can't be here. Daddy needs to do training, okay? Oh, I know. Okay, I am so sorry for that. Thank you for your patience with me. Gloria, I am recording this session, and I will be sending it to Jason as soon as we're done. Okay, so my apologies. Thank you for your patience with me. Hopefully there will be no more cat interruptions for the rest of our session. So when it comes to templates, I created my own, but there are several other templates that you can use. Slides Mania, by the way, almost everything that you see here that's an image is clickable. So Slides Mania is a really cool place to get templates. And I believe the one I linked you to was a choice board through Google Slides that you can easily make a copy of. And sort of modify as you need. This other one came early in distance learning, and it's very aesthetically pleasing and is similar in principle in that it is a template that has a very repeatable structure that you can use week to week to week. I think this is the one that Kristen Burt or higher ups modified to include resources from Allen Rock. Okay. So just to give you some time to reflect, I want you to think about what have you done to make structures accessible and transparent to learners, and what you can do to improve them. So if you want to sort of reflect on that and either share out verbally or in the chat, I'll give you some time to reflect on the tips I've given you and then on this reflection question. Sarika, yes. In fact, underneath, and then highlighted in black on my screen share is the link to this presentation. I also just sent it out to the chat. Google Sites. One of my friends does Google Sites too, and it works out for him quite a bit. Parent Square for communication. I do a lot of, I do Seesaw in texting, but Parent Square has also been helpful school-wide. Screencastify is really great. I think later on I'll talk a little bit about how I use Screencastify. In Class Dojo, that's a really good way of sharing with people. Oh, yes. I feel like I'm harassing my parents, my not my real parents, my kids' parents, because I'm doing so much more texting and like communicating than I have in the past. Um, I have done a lot of choice boards, game boards with my kids too. And it's nice to replace the objective, but have a similar structure for them. Oh yeah, having that portfolio piece is nice too because it sends out, uh, it tracks student progress through time. Um, Miriam, that piece about kids being unfamiliar with Google Classroom um, resonates with me, if only because there are so many things I want kids to be able to do at home, but I know that we hadn't built the routines for them, and I feel unable to support them in the new technology piece in the way that I want to. Gloria, I feel the same way about Zoom at times, um, but eventually felt like the urge to sort of jump in. But I do love Meets as well. I know this name. I do love me some YouTube. Okay, I'm going to move on into my second group of tips. Um, I know that is good, a daily question. Um, okay, I'm going to move on to my second group of tips. Oh, but now I'm so distracted by the chat. No, I'm moving on. Okay. Um, that should say tip number 2. I don't know how to count. I do, as you could see from the work that I've shown from my class, I do use Google Slides for a lot of different reasons. And so the way that I structure my kids' work feeds into this idea of autonomy and mastery from Drive, which is a book. It also helps me optimize my workflow and the way that I organize all of the things that we're doing together. And then because of different features in slides, especially the hyperlink features, where you can link within your Google slide deck, it makes it so that kids open up fewer tabs, which is really, really helpful as kids are navigating digital learning. As I'd spoken about previously, giving kids the opportunity to choose and have that autonomy over their learning is one, very flexible for them, but then also very motivating for kids. So on the left, I have my reading menu. For the past every time we change sort of reading targets or reading comprehension objectives, my grade level partner and I design a new game board or menu of activities for kids to do to demonstrate their learning. So the menu that you could see listed is 1, clickable, I believe, and then 2, also oriented around determining the main idea of a nonfiction text. And so each of the things that you would see in this menu are ways of accomplishing or working towards that objective in different ways. So anyway, I do like hosting the choice boards in Google Slides because of the aesthetic piece, but then also just the navigational piece. Let me see if I can click through it. And I'm gonna show you why I do like that. I think I might be spoiling pieces of my presentation too. So if kids were doing, let me skip to where they were doing a menu item. Okay, so if kids are doing one of the menu items, this is where they're selecting their menu item and they're highlighting it. So let's say I wanted to do, a sketch note for the day, I would highlight it. But then one reason why I'm sort of opting in for slides is because I do love the way that it you can link within a slide deck. And so if I were a kid and I was like, oh, I don't remember how to do what the sketch note or what the directions are, I could easily just click into the instructions here and it'll take me back into that menu. I am using, that's a private chat. So I do love that feature just because it makes the navigation within slides easier, and then also makes for fewer tabs open, which I know for my learners has been a point of feedback and a point of not contention, but just stress for kids when they have like a bajillion tabs open. I know it makes me feel like I need to Marie Kondo my browser window. So I'm going to close that because I don't need it anymore. Okay, anyway. Oh, I just closed it. Hold on. What a silly goose I am. My apologies, co-learners. Let me get back into the presentation and then I'll reshare. What a fun hiccup that was. Okay, just as I had shared earlier, Slides Mania is another place to get that template. This is Amanda Sandoval. She shares some really amazing choice boards, also all through Google Slides. And if you follow her on Twitter, you'll also gain access to a lot of things that people create and share with her. Well, they're actually mostly oriented towards, she's a social studies teacher, so there's a lot of stuff on social studies and choice boards around history. So if you're like history teacher, some great resources for you. Toby, yes, everybody gets an editable copy of their own of their slide deck through Google Classroom, and then I refer to that every day. And there we go. So mastery. In my slide decks, the past few weeks, we've been assigning, my grade level partner and I have been assigning 3 different word problems of varying difficulty every week. And it's nice because kids can go into their slide deck and then see the 3 problems stacked up against each other and the comments that I've given them so that they can work towards mastery of those problems and of whatever objective it is. Although now we're in review, so it's really just like redetermining mastery or sort of refreshing the memory of that content. My grade level partner uses cubes and then has a template for cubes inside of her slide deck. I use the 3 reads and I similarly have that template for every slide, which is nice because then when I'm preparing my stuff, I could just make a copy of each slide and then change the word problem or whatever problem it is I'm working on, and then have our math stuffs ready for the week. Okay. Oh, and this is also nice because it's 3 problems for 5 days. And then let's say they do the 3 problems on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. They have Thursday and Friday to look back at the feedback they got and then respond to that feedback and fix any errors or improve on the work that they've been doing. So in slides is really nice because it's flexible and very linkable. So I do a lot of things where my slide deck and my templates will link to a Google form, which is easy to check in on, or we'll link to a quizzes, which is also easy to check on because it sort of generates reports for you. So I think that was a really great way to sort of like ease my workflow. I think I had shown this to you previously, but here's the how-to on how to link within a slide deck. Let me show you week 7. The way that the work is structured for my kids is that I sort of like, I would go linearly, but kids can determine the structure and the pathway which they choose. But if I started with my first assignment, like I would just link into this and then jump into the work for their check-in. But what I really wanted to show you was, this is not linked. now, but let's say the ELA work. Jumping into the ELA work, you could like link to a slide within a slide deck so that when kids go into Monday's reading response, they can complete it. And then I always have this little emoji on the side that says top, so it can take them back to the home page when they're done with their ELA, and they can go on to whatever the next piece of their work is, which is something that I wanted to make sure I put in so that kids' confusion around how to navigate through all these slides was diminished or lowered because they can navigate through them much easier. Okay. Okay. So my question or food for thought as I have talked to you about Google Slides is, how do you disseminate work? And then what advantages or disadvantages does that method of dissemination carry? You can chat out loud or in the chat as you reflect. Yes, I am gonna reflect myself and then I'll jump into how I use the top arrow. Okay, so I have a request to show how I did the top button. So, oh man, that's not what I wanted. You silly goose. I used to have a Google Classroom assignment where ELA and math and everything else were their own separate documents that kids made a copy of, or that kids made a copy of. And it was really challenging for kids to navigate. So I'm going to show you how I made, how I made the top arrow. So this is an emoji. And one thing I love using is Emojipedia. Emojis are like a universal language, like music, and my kids love them. So I just found the top arrow that says top hat. I don't know where I'm going to be able to find it, but I know that it's under symbols. Emojipedia, let me put a link in. Okay. There we go, top arrow. So what I did to make the top link is I copied the top image, and then I pasted it into the slides and dragged it onto the side of the slide like this, resized it. And then I turned it into a link. So there are two ways to do a link in Google Slides. One way is to do it by clicking on the insert link button, which looks like a paper clip or chain. Or you can click on the thing you want to turn into a link and press Command or Control K, depending on the device that you're using. And then instead of doing a link to an external website, I clicked on slides in this presentation, and then I made it go to the first slide. And then what I did is I put that into, I am using Apple. And then I put that into every slide just by pasting. And I'm sorry for anybody who uses this as a template, because now you're gonna have all these random emojis in there. Okay. Whew. I'm going to show you one of my greatest shames, which is, SOS. I don't remember. Oh, here it is. SOS is the equivalent of the instructions, where if kids are like, oh, I don't know how to do this slide, it would take them into the menu. But also in prior weeks, when I was doing something based off of new content, like when we were learning about area and perimeter, it would take, when you clicked on SOS, it would take kids to a page where I had put in a bunch of like resources for how to find area and perimeter, or resources for what area and perimeter were. So it is a save our ship situation. And then it also, well, I also did that because there were some kids, as there are probably in your classes, who didn't need that support. So having those links as resources inside the slide would clutter things up. Yes, I'm happy to. Gloria, like a sample of like a week of work, or of what do you want to see a sample of, I guess is my question. Okay, well, okay, yeah, I'm happy to do that. I'm going to create a mock of week 7. Actually, what I'll do is I'll jump into week 8, and then oh, that is so funny, Roma, that you're asking that. Because I will get to that later in this presentation, I think. So for when I start from scratch, you want scratch, okay. I'm gonna create a new slides template. A lot of this is like trial and error. But when I start my templates, especially if it's for the week, I'll just start by creating a table. So that'll be insert and table. And then, no, that's not what I wanted. Okay. So I'm going to create my table. I'll have 6 columns, and then let's just say I'm going to do 3 rows in total. I'll just change the font to this and then make the size large for people who are watching. Okay. So I'll put the days of the week here. It's not how you spell Wednesday, nor is it the right place for that. Okay. And then what I'll do is I'll create just enough work for Monday, and then move on. Okay, so I'll put my content areas here. I usually would start with my check-in, and then I'll do my content area, an actual content area, ELA, and I'll do math here. Okay, so what I might do for math is read ELA, read for 20, 30 minutes, complete a menu item. And then what I'll do is I'll highlight, Control C for copy, and then just paste it into all of these. And then for math, I'll do review problems. Okay. And so then I'll show you what it looks like to do ELA real quick. So I created a new slide. You could do that by clicking on the plus button or choosing a layout. And then if I were to start from the beginning, I would do Monday's reading response. I'll paint this in red because red is the first color of the rainbow, and red is also the first, Monday is the first day of the week. And then what I'll do is I'll go through and then create the directions. Read for 30 minutes, use one of these websites or sources, whatever you want to do. And then insert your reading activity. And then I never designed the menu items, so menu items. I duplicated the slide and then edited it just to make it easier for myself. Item 1, description, and then I would just duplicate it, control paste, and then create that menu for them. Now this is obviously very quick and unstructured, but this is sort of how I would get started on creating this menu. And then what I would do is for ELA, this is Monday, so I'm going to create a hyperlink by, I don't see here because this is expanded. Pressing on the link button or Control K, and then taking you into Monday, which if I had to refer to it was slide 3. So I'm gonna make a link and make you go to slide 3. Okay, and then I would proceed to do that with my other slides and make my math work. Whew. Okay, I'm gonna continue on. I have a few quick tips and then I'll sort of make it like open questioning and so on and so forth. Okay, using Google Classroom and then slides are also really nice because you can personalize their experiences. So of course I can do public comments in Google Classroom, but the private comment feature has been really nice for me for many reasons. I also have a few ways of making really nice accessible feedback for the kids in my class. And then the last tip is just to remember that they're at home. And then there are ways to sort of sort the work to help you understand when kids are doing their work and then who's done things most recently. So screenshots to show you how to get into this. Public comments are posted in the assignment themselves. So let me show you my Google Classroom feed. This is actually the assignment, so I'll have to get into the main classroom. So, okay, so I'm not gonna try to hide names right now. Okay, if you were to comment on this, it's a public comment for everyone to see. And I remind my kids to talk about like questions for everybody when they use public comments. But there are also private comments. So you can go into student work and then give them individual comments. This is an adult who happens to be in my class. She's our community liaison, so I'm not giving anyone's last name away. But for private comments, it's really helpful because my kids can communicate with me by individually or privately. A lot of my kids will send me private comments to say like, hey, can you give me feedback on my work? Or I think I'm done with my work, can you check on it? I'm confused about this part. And so it's a really good place for them to get their individualized feedback and then also to have their individual questions answered. What I like and love about private comments also is that you get public comments too. You get emails every time someone sends you a comment in Google Classroom, so that it is very, very manageable for me. Well, not manageable, but sort of immediate for me to sort of go in and then respond to their question, unless of course I'm attending to something else. This is the way, oh yeah, so You can also mute people. Some of my kids struggle to understand at first how to do public versus private comments, and to understand that like it's not a chat room per se. So like while I expected a degree of people saying hi to each other, and which I was totally fine with, there were a lot of people who were just like posting every minute, and that was not a thing I was happy with. There's a students tab in Google Classroom. I'm not going to take you there, but it's people. And then you can see your students and check off the ones that you want to mute, and then you can mute them or you can unmute them. There are also comment banks. So if you're finding that there's something that kids are commonly being commented on, then you can create a comment bank so you don't have to type it out a whole lot. So one example that I noticed is that a lot of my kids were struggling with the perimeter of a certain object. And so I created a video through Screencastify and then added this comment into the comment bank. And so whenever kids struggled with that particular problem, I put it into use the comment bank feature to sort of add it into their slides. I also use Screencastify quite a bit. And this is nice because I was finding that kids were not reading my comments per se, but they were watching videos that I was creating. And so it has been nice to use Screencastify as a way of providing kids feedback, and also to provide instruction on tiny minor details that you may not have anticipated. So Screencastify also allows you can also embed Screencastify things into Google Slides or whatever it is that you're using, because it is linked to your Google Drive account. This is an extension, by the way. I hope I did my job. If you click on the Screencastify button, it'll link you to the Chrome extension, or you can use whatever it is that you would use to sort of create a screencast. For those of you who are uninitiated, a screencast is a video that you can create, which either shows your whole screen or shows your whole screen and also like you in it, like a picture-in-picture dealio. I do love Screencastify too. And if you're into Flipgrid, I don't use the question feature, although I did get welcomed into like the Screencastify Classroom feature. Oh, you're talking about the question feature in Google Classroom. Sorry. I have used the question feature, and I used it a lot when I was in physical class, but I haven't used it a whole lot in distance learning. Julie's asking about the question feature. So you can ask, good, no private comments. Okay, so let me go back into the classwork. So if you wanted to ask a question, you can create an assignment, but then you can also ask a question to kids. And so you type in your question, I don't know, what is your favorite sandwich? Bonus points, and they can add instructions to it. Bonus points if you like pickles in your sandwich. And then, you don't know if you'll see me zooming in, but on the side, you'll also see that students can reply to each other and edit their own answer. One thing I love about this feature, the question feature in Google Classroom, is that if kids are unable to see each other's answers until they submit an answer of their own, which I like because it gives kids an opportunity to answer on their own terms before they are able to sort of get assistance from or inspiration from other people. So that's that. Thanks for bringing that to our attention, Julie. Okay, I think this is my last thing. Mote. So if you have not used Mote, I very, very much love it because it's a voice comment feature. So this is an extension in Google Chrome that I use in conjunction with all of my comments that I give to kids and all the feedback. So what you'll see, and I'll actually model this live, is if you're leaving a comment in anything Google related, you'll see the Mote icon. And so this only happens once you install the extension into Chrome. And then what you do is when you click on it, it records your voice speaking. And then when you're done, you click on done. And it does this like little sparkly sound, which I actually can't stand. And then it leaves the comment as a, for kids who don't have the extension installed, it'll actually be a link. And it'll say, Jonathan Almerito left you a voice note. It'll actually look like this. And then they can click on the link. And then once they go into the link, they could play it. I also do like it a lot for people because you can get a transcription of it, of your comment, and then get that, how do I explain it? The transcription gets left as the text of the comment too, so kids can listen to your comment or read your comment. It's been really nice because I can leave super, super quick feedback for kids, and kids have been responding to that feedback too. I don't know if you can use Mote in Google Sites. That's a good question, but I haven't been using, and that's because I haven't been using Sites a whole lot. There's a question about topics and doing the emojis in. So let me just edit the name of this topic. So Miriam noticed that you can add emojis into the topic names. And for those who are uninitiated, a topic is a way of organizing classwork. And so I do a topic every week. So this is Remote Learning Week 8. That website I showed you, Emojipedia, which I am putting into here. I use the emojis from there. So let's just say I want to add an emoji of a dog. And then I'll copy this and then add it in. And so that's how I add my emojis in. I use Emojipedia. I think Mote does not translate into another language. I believe it transcribes in other languages. So if your feedback is in Spanish, I believe it may transcribe it into Spanish, but I don't think it'll do it from English into Spanish. How do you send the word graded to students who review their work? Okay, so Fatima has a good question about how I review student work. So for kids, if kids are done with their work, I'll go back into that first slide, which I'd shown you. This is like the table of the cover page. And then I will paint it in. So I have like a red, yellow, green stitch where if everything is for that assignment or that piece of work is complete, I'll put a green in. And also like if I think kids have completed it to the best of their ability, I'll put a green in. If there's something that's clearly missing, but they attempted it or started it, I'll put yellow in. And then if it was unattempted, I'll put red. So that was good because that's also Sherry's question. And then also that, I will also say for this, kids have also, because this is on their own documents, kids also will go in and like change the coloring when they think they're done, or if they want to try to like be sneaky with their parents or guardians, which is also why that communication piece of like Seesaw or Parent Square or Class Dojo has been helpful. Gloria wants to know what my exit ticket looks like. It's not actually an exit ticket as you would do like an informal assessment. It's more a reflection on learning. So in Flipgrid, I have every kid has their own grid. And then I just ask them to do 3 things they learned today. One thing they learned, one thing they were wondering about, and 1 question they still have. That's wrong. 1 thing they learned, 1 thing they struggled with, and then 1 question they still had. And then so I listen to those videos at the end of the day, which is nice because Flipgrid also sends you emails when you get videos from people. So I get an email, let's say Johnny is done with their work. I get an email when Johnny does his exit ticket, and that lets me know, oh, it's time for me to check all of Johnny's work for the day. Anyway, then I use Flipgrid to sort of communicate with them too. If Johnny wants to make a video with a private question that he doesn't feel like typing into Google Classroom as a private comment feature, then he can ask it through Flipgrid. But that's what the exit ticket looks like. It's a reflection of learning. Okay. Oh yeah, student view for Mote. When I leave them voice comments, this is what it looks like unless they have the Mote extension installed. Oh yeah, this is what I want to talk about. So I have to acknowledge that kids are working from home. And so one of my kids does not do their work until 10 p.m. every night. And I refuse to stay up to check their work. And I also refuse to sort of like wait for them. So let me show you what this looks like again. Also, I'm showing kids' names, which is not what I wanted. So when you go into each assignment, there's a folder of student work. And one thing I love about Google Classroom is that all attachments that you have included and all things that kids have made copies of are curated, collated, sorted in a folder. And when you go into that folder, it's in your Google Drive already. There's a folder called Classroom. When you go into that folder, you could sort it by last modified. And that's really helpful for me because I could see if one of my kids is working super late, then I could check in on their work the next morning because I tend to be awake earlier than my kids are. So I can check in on their work when I get up at 6 or 7 or whenever it is that I'm like up and ready to work. But it's also nice because if I'm like a little bored, I can go into this folder too and like just check on to see who's working at the time and then like give them live feedback via comments or Screencastify or Mote or whatever. Oh yeah, and then just for the fact that they're at home, like whatever choice boards or work you give them has to be something they could do with the materials they have at home, or give them opportunities to be creative with things they do have at home. So there is that too. My menu items are vary based on capacity or materials available, language production, so on and so forth. Okay. If the reflection question is, what have I been doing to provide variety and accessibility to remote learning, and how might I enhance that? How came you to the idea of 3 areas of focus daily? So if you are so inclined, the reflection question is there, and then I'm going to address Gloria's question. Though I don't understand the question. I use Mote the most in between students, but when I'm chatting with parents, I use Seesaw a lot in conjunction with Google Translate. Those choice boards have been a big savior for me. Some of my kids have become more creative at home than they ever were in the classroom, which is also indicative of what I was doing in the classroom. But that's also that. Okay, so so you all have these slides. So this is my contact information, my Twitter, my email address, so on and so forth. The attendance is going to be this link. I will also throw how do you say that? The link into the chat, but this is not just for you. So if you want to copy and paste that link, this is your attendance. This is how they're making sure that you're here. The official title of this session is Distance Learning with Google Classroom for Experienced Users. The attendance form is very, very brief. Okay, so I'm just gonna, I can't, because that's the end of my presentation. Okay, well, I am going to be here for the remaining 6 minutes of our session, and I'm happy to take any and all questions. I'll sit in the chat, and then also if you want to turn your audio on and talk to me, I'm more than happy to do that as well. But thanks for being here. This was a fun hour of me talking at a computer. I don't know if I have your email address, Fatima. If you want to private chat me and then send me that email address, I'm happy to give it to you. Oh, I wonder if she's still there. Okay. Let me get my other computer. Okay, Gloria, I got you. I'm going to send you an email address or an email with the attendance link. And then anybody else who wants to I don't know how Jason is going to host these videos. I assume he's going to send it out through his like distance learning blast / email Roma. That's a really, so Roma, this is a, I'll just private chat you. So I currently have Roma and Gloria. I'm sending them their emails. Anybody else? Go ahead and private. Oh, Fatima. I don't know what your last name is. Oh. Okay. Okay, for those of you who asked for that, I just sent you an email. One class assignment a week. That's not what I wanted. Shame, shame, shame. Okay. Really what I mean by that is Google Meet, to my knowledge, does not have an annotation feature like Zoom. So what I mean by one assignment a week is I post all of the kids' assignments. And sorry, I got distracted. I post all the kids' assignments in Google Classroom on Sunday night. And then kids are able to access that throughout the week. And I just find that doing that instead of posting a new assignment on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday declutters my Google Classroom space. I want to get more into Jamboard. Teach me Jamboard, Gloria. So that's the need. And also it declutters my space and declutters my learner's space so they don't have to be like, where was that assignment on Monday, and like scroll through. Thanks, Gloria. Oh, sorry, Fatima. Bitmoji is its own extension. So you can download it through Chrome or like phone users. It's also an app. So you can download that and then use it as a keyboard whenever you text and stuff like that. I'm gonna copy and paste this link into, why is it not doing what I wanted to? Oh, I know why. There it is. If I were a Wakelet user, I would do that. Oh, I'm not gonna open it, but I will have it somewhere. Okay. I am going to officially close this. Please feel free to contact me as you need to or want to, and I'm happy to answer any and all classroom and EdTech questions, I suppose. Let me turn off this recording now. I don't remember what it was. Look, yes, because I'm in Chrome.